Welcome to Perspectives on Stewardship in a Digital World. I'm Brad Patterson, a Senior Vice President at CCS. Over the next several months, CCS and iGiveCatholic will partner on a series of brief discussions with your peers in the Catholic Church to share different perspectives on stewardship in a digital world. We hope these videos will be fun, they'll be brief, and they'll be informative to all of you who are joining us. Today, I'm joined by Cory Howat and Julie Kinney. Cory is the Executive Director of the Catholic Community Foundation of the Archdiocese of New Orleans and President of iGiveCatholic. And Julie Kinney is the National Program Director of iGiveCatholic. Welcome to you both.
Hello, thank you.
It's good to see you both. It's always fun to hang out with you for a few minutes.
Absolutely.
What do you say we dive in and get started?
Let's do it.
First question for you, Cory. Lessons learned in 2020. Last year, you doubled your previous best year of $6 million to more than $12 million for the Giving Day for iGiveCatholic. I know you were a founding board member, and I just wonder personally how it felt to you to have the benefit of those experiences and that past experience to be so relative in 2021 and helping the church to really leap forward into the 21st century.
It's a great question. So thanks for asking, Brad. You know, it's interesting. I first have to be able to back up and say, you know, we couldn't do it without partners like CCS. And so really it's a group effort. It's an effort of the church. And I think the beauty of being able to do that is we have, you know, Julie Kinney as our National Program Director leading it, but also the very, you know, generosity of folks. But really what it stirs, and this is, I think, part of that communal effort, what it stirs in me is this great feeling of kind of like the early church, you know, this idea that you really, you have to face what's in front of you, no matter the circumstances. They didn't have any kind of clue in what was going on. They just, you know, a faithful everyday step of like, hey, how do we respond? What's the Lord calling us to? And that was kind of the really neat part to be a part of, is that you're able to feel this real granular sense of mission and being able to say, hey, how do we connect the dots and really foster generosity? The people now more than ever have been generous, and we just have to be able to respond to give them that channel, that avenue. And it's with partners like CCS that believed in us and said, hey, let's do this together. That it really challenged us to be able to move it forward and to offer it almost overnight.
Julie, it's the day after iGiveCatholic Giving Day in 2020. What are you immediately starting to do to plan for 2021? What are the lessons learned that you've brought forward to 2021?
Sure. Well, after giving thanks and praise to God, oh my gosh, and getting out of our shock, as we kind of did a little bit deeper dive into the day, we saw really kind of three areas that we could, some lessons learned that we could take forward. And the first one is peer-to-peer fundraising and the success that organizations had with that we should really grow in 2021. And by peer-to-peer fundraising, we mean having constituents who are passionate about an organization raise money for that organization, and they can do it in very fun ways. And they get their own page, their own way for donors to track that gifts came in through them for their favorite organization. In fact, last year, we had an increase of $120,000 in the peer-to-peer fundraising over 2019, which was just amazing. The second way, something else we could do is increase matching gifts. And as we took a look at this, we were quite astounded in that about 68 organizations used matching gifts in 2020, yet those matching gifts were worth $1.2 million, which more than doubled our 2019 matching gifts, which was just quite amazing. And organizations that do have matching gifts do so much better than organizations who don't. And so what might that look like for a small parish? You know, how could they get matching gifts? And so just kind of helping them understand, organizations understand where they fit in that picture and what does a matching donor look like to them. And then the third one is stories. We collected the stories of 33 different dioceses, parishes, schools, and ministries, and what their background was, what their keys to success were, what were some of the lessons that they learned, some of their happy surprises, And then what will they do differently next year? And what would they want others to know? And then implementing all of those kind of keys and helping others understand, and so that they can take them and move forward in 2021.
That's 68 gifts for $1.2 million, 68 matching gifts for $1.2 million, 10% of what was raised last year. And then they were matched. So it's really 2.4 million, or 20% of what was raised last year. That's an incredible statistic. Thank you for sharing that statistic. Cory, back to you. We've spoken a lot recently. You and I have spoken a lot about the word digital community. And I wonder how you could explain to someone who's participating in a giving day how they can incorporate the lead up and the stewardship of that giving day into their global 12-month philanthropic calendar.
Absolutely. You know, the one key that we know about life and the world we live in is that we thrive in community. That's where we really kind of come to our best. And we do that we do that not only in community, but in select communities. And so obviously with the pandemic, we found out that we were forced into digital communities. We were forced into communities that we probably didn't or would not have recognized. But the great gift about community is that it finds us, and since the beginning of time, we've found connections. And the digital community has allowed us to connect in ways that we never imagined we could, or to do that in a way that's not only healthy, but also vibrant and strong. And we know one of the key indicators of a strong community is their generosity. And so when you have a strength of this generous community, being able to go forward and be able to kind of push forward a mission to help others, it really forces you that it can't just by nature stay within one day, that it becomes this idea that it is a year-round engagement, a year-round search to be able to, like, hey, what else can we do? You know, we don't rest on our laurels as part of our faith. And so we're constantly out there looking, like, what else do we need to do? Who else can we help? How do we kind of take part in this? And a lot of that is really based on the communal generosity. So when we all come together, and that's the great gift of iGiveCatholic, being able to come together, celebrate in a community that's both local in its parish, but then you feeling connected to either your diocese, your state, your region, the nation, our faith, universal, global. And so it's given us this great depth to the idea of celebrating community, celebrating generosity, but doing this not just pinched into a little day during the year, but really forcing us to think about it year round and finding that community.
Have you, either of you, have you found that once a person begins to give to a giving day for a member organization, that they begin to think of this as part of their annual stewardship?
Definitely.
Absolutely. And I think part of that is the reciprocal nature, depending on how the organization responds to it, so that they know that their digital engagement doesn't just have some kind of base dear friend response to it, but really this personal nature, this personal connection back to them. Just because it's in a digital space doesn't mean it can't be personal. And so we have seen that if the organization takes this as a unique call to find them in a new way, that the relationship can blossom just like any other face-to-face relationship.
So that's very interesting. Cory, if I could allow you or invite you to dream big, iGiveCatholic just raised $12 million. Member organizations last year raised more than $12 million. Can you picture a scenario where there are hundreds and hundreds of member organizations and they're raising tens of millions of dollars a year?
That hard for me to do. That is probably the gift I've been getting. Absolutely. Not only do I think that we could do it, but I think that God calls us, in the spirit of abundance, to be able to think that way. Because when we think that way, we then put steps in place to be able to make that a reality. We see the nature of people's generosity, and we oftentimes put human limitations to that. But generosity is such a great gift because there's always room for more. And no matter if we try to exhaust that, we can't. And that's the beauty of where we need to dream big, because I think when we do that, we take off the shackles of scarcity, and we allow the freedom and the vision of true abundance and God's abundance. And so I not only see it, but I see it open us up into other markets, hospitals and Catholic hospitals and more universities and other areas inside of the church that we're called to be able to kind of invite. It really is an invitation to that journey of generosity. So big days ahead, absolutely.
And to Julie's point earlier, that the learnings from each year applied to the following year provide for that natural growth on top of just organizational membership growth. So thank you for dreaming big with us. Julie, I'll close out with you. And I wonder, there are those listening to us right now that are learning about iGiveCatholic, perhaps for the first time as potential donors or potential membership organizations. What advice would you give to them as they consider a giving day for 2021?
Well, if you're a donor, I would say go to iGiveCatholic.org, and we will have a cause that will fit your passion. Somewhere within that platform, we had last year 2,600 different organizations all across the country. I'm sure that there would be something that would meet what you are called to give to through iGiveCatholic. For organizations, just do it. And that's one of the lessons that organizations said over and over. Don't be afraid. Start simple and just figure out a project that you can fund that maybe is about $5,000 to $8,000, or maybe it's really to just kind of help your bottom line. Be honest with people. Tell them what you'll use their money for. Ask for their donations, and ask when you want to promote it in 4 to 7 ways is really a best practice, and in different methods. But get the word out, and you will be amazed. You will learn something that you will learn lessons you can take into 2021 or the following year, and even continue to grow from there.
Well, thank you, Julie, for those final words. And thank you, Cory, for joining us. And on behalf of CCS, I always love talking to you too, and learn a little something every time I speak with you. For everyone else, please join us in our next installment of Perspectives on Stewardship in a Digital World. Next, we'll be speaking with Amy Ponson, Executive Director at the Catholic Foundation of South Louisiana with the Diocese of Houma-Thibodaux. For additional information about the Catholic space, please visit ccsfundraising.com. And to participate in iGiveCatholic's 2021 Giving Day in November, visit iGiveCatholic.org. Thank you both for joining me, and we'll see you all in the next session.